Hey, what is up everybody? Blades for here, and today for you guys another video of Persona 5X. And inside today's video, guys, we're going to be going ahead and going over the new teaser, which is going to be MESSA. Now, MESSA is one of the few characters that I've been really excited for. Unfortunately, I won't be pulling the man, but he still is one of my favorite units in the entire game, just because of the cool look. So we're going to at least get ahead of the curve and actually give him a little bit of a look-see and show you guys exactly what he can do. So if you guys like videos like this, be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's get straight into it. So this was recently teased on their their Twitter account, where they're actually showing the whole silhouette, kind of like the Who's That Pokemon thing as usual for our characters. So you guys should be able to see it on my screen now here. But on P5X News, they ended up actually highlighting it here, which on, of course, P5X Official West, we were able to actually see the whole silhouette. Now, this is really exciting for me, mainly because I just really like this character in general. As much as I would love to get homie, I am trying to save for Futaba, so unfortunately that's going to be a skip for me, but it doesn't have to be a skip for all of you, because depending on how you want this character, he is pretty darn fun to use. It's just he doesn't have the longest longevity, unless of course you get crazy dupes on him, and even then he slowly starts to die out in the future. But hey, the guy looks freaking cool as crap, so let's go ahead and check out his kit. So you'll be able to see his kit and everything that you want to see on Lufel.net. If you have not checked out the website, be sure to do so. They're doing consistent updates on this, and even have the bosses in their timers now. So you have, of course, like strats, their timers, what they're weak to, and then a ton of other things as well that you can even check your pulls or the global pull stats as well. So be sure to check it out. But talking about the man Kira, or at least MESSA here, he's one of the few characters that has the cleanest design here. I love the witch doctor looking outfit here as well, or the plague doctor outfit you could call it, as well as the persona. The persona was very interesting, and when he got revealed on TW and KR, it was huge. A lot of people were really excited about this character, and actually brought a huge influx of people to play the game. And it was not only just because the design was freaking sick, but it was because the man himself was a physical DPS that also did almighty bleed damage. This was kind of interesting. We have never had, of course, a almighty bleed type of deal, and we finally got a character who could do that, but he also could transform with his mask that changed him from two different stances, one of them being his normal hunter mode and the other one being the executioner mode. Both of these modes did different things, where one kind of excelled at the dot type damage, and then the other really took that dot type damage and made it into straight up physical damage, which was crazy. So character himself, you guys can see how he's built. You're really just going for pure attack on the dude. I think on TW I may have had damage bonus on his moon, but you really do want to have just pure attack of the guy, because the more attack you have, the better his dot damage is going to deal, because he is somewhat of a dot DPS if you have him at low awareness. Where his comp play, or at least his whole play, really does change, that's where you have him like A2, I guess, on global, because he used to be A3, but it's A2 on global, where he'll start to change and he becomes more of that physical DPS with some dot attributes as well. If you wanted to build him, of course, be sure to check the website on out and you'll be able to see exactly what he has here. But let's break down some of his skills. Now, I said this character has two different modes, which is Hunter and Executioner. Hunter itself, it does, of course, a little bit less attack here or physical damage, but it gives stacks of bleeds depending on the enemy itself, right? But Executioner, as you can see by the percentages, immediately takes that physical damage and amps it by a ton. The only downside is you are removing your stacks of bleed, but you're going to trigger something called laceration, which allows you to do way more damage. As long as you have a laceration on the person here, not only are you removing stacks of bleed, but you get extra damage from removing those bleeds that you have on the enemy. Cool thing about this is this mode is mainly going to be able to change if you actually get his mask up, and what you're going to see like a little mask icon on like the right of your screen. You'll be able to click that and actually change his form at any will that you want to, and it is going to be based on the amount of bleeds you have on the enemy. Once you have those bleeds on the enemy, it's going to make it so you're able to switch, and this also switches his whole kit. So of course, as it does say, Hunter, which is incision technique, this allows him to get a bleed off, while if you're in the executioner mode, it changes the sinful gain, and that's what removes said bleeds and does this damage. The real ones that you're really going to be using for this character is just going to be mainly his skill 3 and his skill 2. Well, I guess his skill 3 and his skill 1 mainly, if you are using him for laceration damage. Of course, if it's the final like rotation of something like SOS or Guild Boss, that's where you use skill 2, because it literally removes every last bleed and does a ton of damage off of this. And it's the same for the skill 2 and skill 1 themselves. We have the first form, which is the hunter form, being Lethal Pleasure, and then the second form being Curtain Call with the executioner. As for Knights of Arrival, this is the mask, so you still want to up this no matter what. It's still a really good skill, but it is also triggered with the mask, and you will have both percentages up as you're going on. But his highlight is probably the coolest freaking thing. He does like a weird little combination attack with his persona, which is freaking dope as crap. The man literally walks you down before just dicing you up. It's freaking cool. I probably might do a A6 showcase on TW to at least show you guys what this character is capable of at an A6 probability, and then hopefully one of my friends has an A0 one, because I would like to show you guys the differences of how the character is able to be played based on the duping amount. Because when I say it is different, you go from straight up DOT to straight up just main DPS immediately, and it's crazy how different it is. But the highlight itself also automatically gets you into Executioner, and you will deal, of course, laceration damage, which is great. He has his 2 passive, which is Infect. Every 30% EHR, he increases his physical damage from bleeds by 4% of his own attack, as well up to 90% of EHR. And then he has Fester, which increases EHR by 36% in Hunter, while inside of Executioner, which makes more sense because he uses a lot more penetration rate. Inside of his Executioner mode, he gets 21%. Now for the one that you guys are going to be paying attention, which is the A0, it's called Reaper's Victory. He has 2 different forms. Each form has 2 different skills. He will start in Hunter. Though every time we deal damage in Hunter, there's a 70% chance to inflict bleed. Hopefully when he comes out on Global, this actually gets buffed a little bit, where what is it called? The bleeds are actually more than like maybe I think it's like 3 stacks that we get at A0. Hopefully it's more than that, because we do need to increase his percentages to make him really decent. And I do feel like his bleeds do need to be increased for the lower, at least duping area, to make him really good, as well as a little bit of his physical damage. Because the only problem with my man Mesa here is if you just don't have him duped, you're not going to get very far with him, and you can't really take advantage over the second half of his kit, which is more of that physical side. So if they can kind of combine that into an A0, it could be way better for this character, and I think a lot of you guys will really enjoy him. Then of course we have the Executioner. When using his skills, for every 3 stacks of bleed on the target, we deal 1 additional damage of laceration. Now laceration itself, of course, the bleeds that we end up having is going to be almighty damage based on max HP of the enemy. So the more HP on the enemy, the more damage we deal as well. And then the physical damage based on 4% of Mesa's attack. This will last for 4 turns and has up to 10 whole stacks, which is great for damage. And then of course we have the laceration, exactly what this does here. Pretty much just taking physical damage based on Mesa's attack here. This cannot crit, so don't worry. With this character, you're not going to be critting, you're not going to be doing any down gauging, you're just going to be straight up dealing damage, and that's all he's meant to do, especially if you have dupes. Now at A0, as I did say, it's a total different way. You're only going to be doing them for dot. If you really wanted to use him for what's it called, physical, that would be the A2, and this is a pocket full of posies here. Not poisons, what the flip, I don't even know. This is how you know I've been up too long. It's been up since 3, but a pocket full of posies here, and this increases laceration skill multiplier by 35%, which a lot of you guys can see exactly why he starts to change his aspects of how you're doing things here. Because whenever you are in your hunter mode, or at least your executioner mode, you already have a buff laceration. Well, this is now increased by an extra 35% of your attack, meaning not only are your almighty bleeds doing a lot more damage, but you yourself are just doing a ton more damage. And then we also restore a little bit of HP, 2% of our laceration damage, which is going to be great as well. So we do use our HP in some of our moves, but lucky for us, since we do have that A2, it will end up giving you some of your HP back, which is always nice. Gotta love that. It's always good to have. And then the big boy is We All Fall Down. This one increases his bleed stacks to 13. I think they're originally 10. And then of course, you will never drop below 3 stacks. So when you're removing all your stacks, all of those being removed, you only get to keep 3, which is great. Easy setups, allow you to deal as much damage as possible. And then of course, Executioner, simple game, you won't lose your bleeds anymore. Laceration will now be at least upgraded to execution, allowing you to deal 100% more damage and deal 50% damage as splash damage. So the guy kind of really becomes a AoE DPS to some extent, the splash damage that he does have, which is really strong, especially if you're able to get that A6. But really the target, if you guys are going to summon for this guy, is going to be A2. But in all honesty, I feel like a lot of you guys might want to skip this one. I'll probably have a different video talking about that and showing exactly what he's capable of and how his future does hold. But gotta love the whole teaser. I'm excited for this guy. It's going to be freaking awesome when he does come out, and I want to see a lot of you guys enjoy his character as well. But till next time, everybody, thank you for watching and peace out.